Okay, I think we're probably gonna have to let more people in, as always happens, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and get started because we value your time and you're here on time, and um, that's a cool thing these days for sure. So I'm April Wagner. Bobby and I are going to be your hosts tonight. I kind of like doing these things. It kind of takes us back to, when we first looked at this industry and how we actually found out about it. This is an industry we've been in now for some 32, almost 33 years. And we initially got involved at a time where my husband, who had had a very traditional business, had large receivables and wasn't going to get paid on those. So it was really going to force him out of business. And we really didn't know how we would replace his income. Being newly married, we had a large house, we had two new cars, I worked full time. We had to have a nanny in the house because of what I did. And, we just had lots of bills and stuff. But luckily, as that factory was closing, somebody came in to get a picture frame, or I should say, a magazine framed. And my husband's very inquisitive, and he actually asked the gentleman, what do you do? And was kind of picking his brain. And I think reluctantly, because of maybe this where my husband was, maybe he thought he was just a factory worker or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he prejudged him based on the way he was dressed, maybe. But we went to a meeting. He finally invited him to a meeting. We went to a meeting, and I just remember sitting in that meeting and not being terribly, I guess, probably exhausted from the day, the fact that we had two babies at home. But my husband saw something. He saw a bigger picture, and I'm hoping we can share that with you because he really saw it as a business. He didn't see it as a product sales. He saw it as a way to be able to, and initially it was just to maybe offset some of the loss of his income. But I got to tell you, that first year we went on to make $110,000. So, he saw a business model that he was super excited about it. I have to tell you, I did not see that. But luckily, we quickly found out that there was, weight loss products. I just had my second baby. Energy, I was kind of multitasking with three different things for work and then managing a house and a nanny. So super, super busy. Always needed the extra income and stuff. But we were really blessed and just so fortunate that the first person we got involved with was actually a mentor to us. Actually took us by the hand and showed us how to build the business and did three-way calls for us and just was there to answer all our questions. And sometimes in this industry, when people get involved, they get involved with somebody who just got involved, who got involved with somebody who just got involved. And it's like you've got the blind leading the blind. So, Bobby and I, we've been married 45 years now. We have three grown boys, one granddaughter. You didn't put that on there, but but we've been here in this business almost 33 years. October will actually be 33 years for us. Done well over 200 million in sales, and we absolutely love what we do. And we've been in this company with this company for 8 years. The previous company was for 25 years, but we absolutely love what we do. And we're going to share a little bit about this company and what's going on with us. But just in case I forget to tell you, we are a publicly traded company. We've been here for 8 years now. Well, actually, October will be 8 years. We've got special products that I know everyone should get super excited about. The huge demand for these products. It's a big market. I think we were talking about yesterday that people over the age of 50, and that's really who really severely, because of what's going on out there, need these products. 42% of our population is that age. I mean, it's an aging population. The ability to make money is so important, and we can easily do that unlike any other time out there because of technology and stuff. And yet you don't have to be super use tech. So it's a great business for us. So I'm going to go ahead, but LifeVantage is the activation company, and most people have no idea what activation is, have no idea what we're about. A lot of times they hear health and wellness and they think supplementation. But when we talk about activation, it's taking aging pathways that are no longer working effectively, turning them back on so that we can look and feel like we did when we were much younger. And I don't know about you, but that's all I needed to hear. That gets me super excited. But the science and all that we have to back it up makes it even that much more exciting. But let's talk about what's going on these days. I mean, there are a lot of challenges out there for all types of people. You look at money, and I always kind of equate it to housing, what's going on with housing. And the interest rate, if you bought a house, when we first bought our house, it was 16%. So, 5, 6, 7% isn't terribly bad today. But you know what? The cost of the down payment and saving that money up for kids is just, it's crazy the amount of money they need to get into a house. But then when you look at the flip side, the older people, once they stop working, in order to keep that house, you look at insurance going up, you look at taxes going up. They've been in that house for 30 years and they can't even afford to stay in that house. So we know there's a big, big demand for money out there. But the other thing that we don't have is time. People are working a lot of hours. They just don't have any extra time. Here in the United States, we work more hours than any other country around there, yet we're supposed to be the richest country. So there's something going on with there. And, one of the true blessings for us in this industry has been the ability that over the years, we were able to raise our kids and we can set our schedule, and we still set our schedule. But, when we were trying to raise 3 boys, that was really, important with all the sports and stuff they play, if you can relate to that. But what's going on with health? I mean, health is just, never has it been worse. For many, previously infectious diseases was an issue. Nowadays, it's chronic health problems. People are really sick. And, whether it's because they can't sleep, the stress, the processed food, the environment, there's so many reasons that why we have health challenges these days. We've got products that are directly going to give benefits to offsetting some of that, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. But we talk about things like polypharmacies, where the average 60-year-old is on 5+ medications or something. It's just crazy what's going on out there. So we take these products to make antioxidants, to make proteins, enzymes, things for better health. And I'm only going to talk about 3. We have 5 really great activators. I mean, just each very category creating. But, this activation allows us to earn, a little money, some money, big money, travel. I can't tell you, Bobby and I just this year alone on the company dime, mind you, have been to South Africa on a safari. We've been to Alaska on a cruise, and the beginning of December, they take us to Mexico for an all-inclusive resort. That's very, very nice. So, they know how to give gifts, and there's many things that they do for us. But, it's an opportunity to really help people with their health, with their finances, with their life, but the community. The people we get to work with, the people that we have been in business with for the whole 8 years, those that came over from our previous company, we're all like family. We have our community, our family, like-minded, just love hanging out with one another. But this was our first flagship product. And so, it really fits a huge need that we have these days. When you look at, when I talked about chronic diseases or, aging, people just getting sick again and again, we have a product that's unlike anything else out there. In fact, it is still the only product on the market that reduces oxidative stress, and it reduces it by 40% in the first 30 days. So what does that mean? Oxidative stress just causes aging, causes all disease, causes inflammation. And what's really cool is, if you haven't heard of it, oxidative stress is now finally, again, we've been here 8 years. So when we came from that other company, working with all these physicians and stuff, nobody ever talked about oxidative stress. We had not heard about LifeVantage as a company, but finally the last year and a half, 2 years, if you listen to any podcasts on anti-aging, if you're reading any books, oxidative stress is now becoming more mainstream because they know it is the precursor for aging, for inflammation, for disease. And you can see we have one little pill, one plant-based pill, but you can see in order to get the equivalent, the same benefits we need to ingest every day, 400 oranges, 500 cups of broccoli, 110 cups of blueberries, and 120 tablets of vitamin C, just to offset so that we don't get the damage to all our cells and our DNA and stuff. But you can see this chart is pretty clear too. And I love this chart because Without using Protandim, this one pill again, you can see that your oxidative stress levels increase. And look at how they really start to increase once you get to 30, 40, 50. It really starts to go up. But when you're on Protandim, what happens is that flat line is showing that the blood of a 20-year-old. So what it's doing is it's reducing all this damage that's coming into our body, keeping us healthy so that we don't have all these issues that are going on. And I got to tell you, the testimonies, if you're not in our Lifespan Matters Facebook group, the testimonies we get are just incredible. They are just so incredible. So, we know this product does big, big things, and it's our challenge to share it with the world. And I enjoy sharing it, and I know many people on here do. But I'll give you the credibility side of it. There are some 320,000 studies on oxidative stress. And I'm not in the medical field, but I can make out a little bit, and you probably can too. If you look at the summary on any of these studies, it'll always say when you reduce oxidative stress, you reduce whatever is going on with the heart, the skin, whatever negative is going on, the kidneys, the joints, the lung, the brain, whatever is going on is reduced when we reduce oxidative stress. And you got to believe that that's big. I mean, I tell people these days when I talk to them, and I did it with a lady in the restaurant today, I'm like, look around who's in this restaurant, and it can be anywhere. You can be in a mall, you can be at a dog park, you can be anywhere. Look around and see the age of our population. It is very much an aging population. And so the need and the demand for a product like this is off the charts. So look at the validation. When was the last time you picked up a nutritional product that had all this credibility, had all these studies done on it, and they were done because this was such such a category creating product, unlike anything else out there, that we have all this credibility with this product. And that doesn't happen with other nutritional products. A lot of times, if there is a study, it's on the ingredients, not the product itself. So this is huge. But we were really fortunate. The company, a little over 2 years ago, came out with a product called collagen, liquid collagen. And I have to tell you, I wasn't overly excited at first because I thought there was a lot of collagen on the market and probably enough to be dangerous. I knew what was on Facebook and Instagram. I knew ladies that were using it weren't getting results, putting powder in their coffee, doing all kind of things. But this is really, really different. But these are the benefits that we get from collagen. And again, I thought it was just wrinkles, that's all I thought it would do, and primarily only on your face. But there's nail health, hair loss. We've got great testimonies on that. Muscle recovery, so important. But eye health, our eyes are 91% collagen. Liver function, sleep quality. There's so many benefits from collagen. It is our connective tissue. It is literally the thing that holds everything together. So it's so much greater than just wrinkles. But wrinkles we can see the outside. So I tell people, take a picture before you start and take a picture 30 days later. But we have the only collagen that activates by having your body make its own collagen. Nobody else has that out there. We do replenish with 10 types, and that's what a lot of those other collagens do, but they only do it 1, 2, 3. I know one that does it with 5. But this is another thing that we do that no one else does. We turn off the gene that destroys the collagen. So you can see the results in 8 weeks. It is, it's lighter, it's, more yellow, more green, because the collagen density has increased. Then we found out quite by accident, most of all the consultants had already been on Protandim. We knew, you had to be on Protandim every day. And then we started taking this collagen, and the results, the visible results we were getting were off the chart. And so the company went back and did a study on using the collagen and the Protandim, and we got 100% activation of that production of collagen, the fibroblasts, the tightening of the skin, just off the charts results that everyone's getting. So when you use it, use both of them together because it really, really accelerates the results that we get. These are a few pictures of, the kind of results we're getting. I have to tell you, the lady to my left, she's 70 years old. When you see somebody's neck tighten up like that, it's just tremendous. Knees, as you get older, again, you can see there are some great results that we're getting with these. Betty's our poster child. She's done a great job of documenting, as she's used this liquid collagen. And like I said, it's the only producer of collagen out there. We do so much more than anybody else. But would you agree that weight loss is a huge industry. I mean, look around. People are literally willing to do anything just to lose weight, including some risky things out there at this point with certain types of drugs and stuff. But we've got an all natural GLP-1 activator, meaning it's naturally increasing that GLP-1 hormone, unlike the shots out there that are just kind of mimicking it and having all kind of different side effects. Here, we're increasing that GLP-1. Now, this slide says 140%. They did another study that shows 200% on average. So we are getting some great results. But this is kind of what it looks like. 9 pounds, these are clinical studies that were done. 9 pounds in 8 weeks, 25 pounds in 12 weeks. Very important, 100% who lost weight maintained their muscle mass. So, so important because again, once you lose that, your metabolism goes down, nothing looks good on you, your skin hangs on you, but up to 27% reduction in the fat around the middle, 5% body fat, and we do have this patent pending. So it is just a capsule. You take 2 in the morning, a little powder later in the day that you can put in anything from water to milk to your yogurt or whatever. But look at the results and look at the results around the middle, which is really the hardest. I found as I get older, that middle area is definitely the hardest part and we struggle the most with. And that's exactly like it said, that visceral fat, that's where that's coming off and people are getting wonderful results. And it's truly the easiest program I've ever used for weight loss. And that's just 3 of our 5 activators. But, we have things like NAD really big again on, Instagram and 100% activation with that right away. We have mitochondria health. And again, these are the anti-aging things people are talking about. We have a phenomenal skincare line, gets rid of eye wrinkles in 15 minutes. I mean, I could go on and on about this line of products, but because they activate, you're going to love the results that your body gets. But, one of the privileges that I've had is I get to work with my husband, and we've been working together now for 32, almost 33 years, married for 45. So you could say we get along pretty good, but he's really good with the numbers, and the vision of what he saw at that very first meeting was so powerful. And that's really why we're here today. So he's going to share that with you. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that after you heard a little bit about the products, that maybe you have a desire to try them, or use them yourself. But the reason we're here tonight is because we need more voices to help spread the activation story. Our products work really, really good. We have the highest reorder rate in the industry. The industry average is 19 or 20%. Ours is like triple that. And, look at the topics, what April talked about, the anti-aging, the getting rid of wrinkles and collagen and your joints and, the natural weight loss product versus the shots and stuff. This is good stuff. And that's only 3, that's our big 3. But, rumor has it, we just bought another company in our space. And they supposedly, the rumor is that they got some sort of special gut health product that's going to be available in the next month or 2 also. Okay. And we bought the company outright and we merged them with us. So that takes effect in a couple of weeks. So we are doing really well as a company, but we need help sharing the news that you just heard. Okay. And think about this. Do you have any friends that may want to feel better and lose weight? Well, I think if you look through your phone, you might find out that there's a lot of them, just in your phone. And what I want to share with you tonight, and I fondly refer to our business opportunity or our compensation plan, some people like to call it, or pay plan. I think that's the best product we got. I think it's the best product. And you say, why? Well, because let me give you an example. How many people do you think have purchased a McDonald's franchise but choose not to eat there? They bought it because it's a moneymaker. They don't necessarily eat there. Well, we have some of the best products in the world. April just explained it to you. But an even bigger problem is people's need to earn more money. And once you eliminate maybe Uber or Airbnb or, an Amazon store or something like that, there's not a lot of other options without you spending a lot of time with it. Okay. So these are challenges that are facing all the generations, right? Inflation. Okay. It is just no denying it. Everything's more expensive. Okay. Debt, credit card debt is at an all-time high. But you know what also is at an all-time high? The insecurity of a job. Back when, my dad was a police officer, there's a lot of different, municipality jobs and a lot of different careers, even, a lot of different corporate opportunities 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago where you could spend 20, 25, 30, or more years and retire and be comfortable for the rest of your life. Well, now you'd be pretty wise and smart, and it's being advised that every 3 to 5 years, you probably should be looking to switch jobs because you may age out in the job you have and not age out on chronological age, but based on what you're doing in that position and how fast technology is changing everything. But interest rates, they're finally starting to come down, but they're still really high on credit cards and they're not coming down quick enough on home rates. Okay, there's a lot of, economic uncertainty. And April already mentioned the housing affordability, but we are still living longer, okay? And retirement is a challenge. And I don't mean just, well, there's only 10 or 15 years left of Social Security money. They got to figure that out, and they do have to figure that out. But I'm talking about, people retiring and living another 20 or 30 years after retiring. It's just going to cost more money to do that than it used to. So let me share a couple numbers with you, okay? I'm going to use that GLP-1 product because it's such a big seller and the market out there, you see the shots on TV all the time, you hear it all the time, but I'm going to keep it real simple, okay? A month's supply of our product, you can pay retail, it's $199, or you can, get it on subscription at $179, or you can be a consultant like us and pay $159. But let me show you what happens. When somebody purchases that, you make at least, it says $19.99, you make $20 minimum, okay, if somebody buys that. But do you realize once there's $500 in, we call points, but I'm going to use dollars as an example, $500 in sales, that $20 goes up to 26. Once there's $1,000 in business, that $20 goes up to 32. Once there's 2,000 in business, that $20 becomes almost $40. And once we have 4,000 in business going on, that $20 becomes $45. So think about this. We have a very, very high reorder rate. So these are the same, you get the same commission every month on customers, every month. Earn anywhere from $20 to $45 on every customer each and every month. That alone, with the influencers out there, with people that know people, with the niche that you may come from, whether it be a salon or people at church, through sports, through work. I mean, there's all kinds of different opportunities. There's a lot of money to be earned just in that. But, April mentioned a few times what I saw 30, almost 33 years ago when I had invited myself to a meeting. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example of what I saw. It wasn't exactly like this because the guy drawing it out on the board drew out, if I got 10 people and they got 10 people and they got 10, he drew out 10 people growing to 1 million people. And I'm like, this guy's off his rocker. But then he drew an X through it and he said, what if only 10% of that happened? And I said, the light bulb went on. I said, we're going to be rich. It didn't need to happen perfectly, but what about this? What about you and two? Okay. Two of the people say that are using the collagen, which is just spectacular, the protandim, which is spectacular, the GLP-1. Two people decide they want to get involved and do some business, make some money, get their product for free. Do you realize that just by you hitting that 4,000 point mark or $4,000 mark, that's 1,200 a month for you? You're making 30% on that. Do you know if two of your people, two of your customers joined you in business, you'd make another $800 because you'd get 10% on each of theirs? And that's 2,000 a month. That's 24,000 a year. Now look, That's not going to make anybody rich. And I'm not saying it does. Okay. But we could all find a way to spend an extra $2,000. Let's face it, especially with today's inflation. But look at this. What if, and do the what if on a positive. Okay. What if the two people that you got, we helped them get two people of their own? So now they're making the same 2,000 that you were making, but now you're making another $1,100. You're making 3,100. You're getting close to 40,000 a year. You know, that 40,000 a year, when you figure what it costs to go to work, maybe a mom, and you're paying full-time babysitter, gas, clothes, and all of that, you know, that could keep a mom home raising the kids instead of hiring someone and going through all the stress. And we make light of that these days, an extra 40,000 a year. What I'm showing you here is a part-time business. This is something, you know, that you do in part spare time. But here's what I saw. Okay. Give me one more slide here and let me show you. When I saw what was drawn out, I started thinking about where I knew people. What were my niches? Back then, I owned art galleries, picture frame business. I played a lot of sports. I played a lot of softball, actually. But I knew people in different things. But think about this. Imagine different neighborhoods, different towns, different cities, different states, different countries. Look at the top row from left to right. What if I was in California and I'm in San Francisco and I knew someone in LA who knew someone in San Diego? Well, that would be three times 37,000. That would be 111,000 a year in income. But what if the person in San Diego knew somebody in Dallas, who knew someone in Houston, who knew someone in Austin? Now we got six of those scenarios at 37,000. That's almost $250,000 a year. Okay. And what if the person in Austin knew somebody in Orlando, who knew somebody in Tampa, who knew somebody in Miami? That's nine different locations doing that little model that I showed just a second ago. And you're talking about 300,000 or 400,000 a year. That's what got me excited. Okay. When I saw this as an opportunity, that it wasn't limited, that I could do what I wanted to do, but I could play big if I wanted to. Now, I was only looking to replace a $90,000 salary. That's what I was making in 1992 before my business closed. Okay, but here's a real simple way to look at it. Very, very simple model. You're going to earn approximately 30% every month on all your customers, and you're going to earn approximately 10% on all your teammates. Okay, so that's $30 on every 100 or $100 on every 1,000. It's really that simple, folks. It's not a complicated equation, and it's really easy to get started. It's probably the most affordable business that you will ever get to start, and it's all inclusive. I mean, you could get started for as little as $225 up to $999. That's the most. All of them, all these packages, okay, there's 12 different ones. You could pick the one that's got the products in it that you want to use, but they all include your own website. They include an app for your phone. They include marketing materials. They include training and support. All of that's included. But I got something really cool I want to show you. And this was just announced a couple hours ago. So we have to throw this slide together quick. Okay. The company just announced a special promotion on our high-speed health pack. It's one of the enrollment packs. It normally is $371. It's got that much in product in it, okay? It's our high-speed health pack. It's for a new consultant, somebody like yourself getting involved. It is discounted, folks, and this is not a misprint, okay? It is discounted by 47%. A person can get started in business tonight for $200 and get the high-speed health pack with everything included. It's only available to the end of the month, okay? And every once in a while, they do something. They've never done this before. This is the best offering for an enrollment that there's ever been in the 8 years that we've been here. I don't know what they did before we got here, but the company's 16 years old. We've been here for the last 8. And think about that. Okay, you get some of our best products, the Pro Tandem, our NAD, our fat burn, and the GLP-1, all of that for $200, almost half price, and the business stuff is included. I'll tell you, if I were you, whoever invited you on, I'd be texting them right now and asking for a link, to get involved. But I got a couple other things I want to share, and then we'll call it a night. See, as I said, we need more voices, okay, to help spread the word. And even if right now the products have gotten your attention and you're not sure about the business, hey, we'll go at your pace. Take advantage of the package, get all the business material because it's included, and start using the products. See, what's really neat is when you start using the products, you become one of those before and after pictures. You become one, okay? And people start asking you, hey, what are you doing? What's different? Warren Buffett said this: you must position yourself in front of a growth curve, not in the middle or at the end. You want to catch it in the middle. And right now, nobody's heard of LifeVantage, even though we're publicly traded and got these great products. Okay. But at the inception, you want to get involved and then realize when you get involved, the window of opportunity is always closing. So work like there's no tomorrow. And April and I were trained to work like this. But I got something else I want to share with you. This one's going to be a stunner. Okay. These are some of our business partners that have been with us for like 20 years. Okay. They were with us in our other company. And, we're friends and business partners for life. And we're going to keep adding more and more and more. There's so many of them. But this is what, and you're seeing this right, folks. This is what ChatGPT says about LifeVantage. See, you don't need to take our word for it. We were doing a training on Zoom last night, and this was brought to our attention when somebody asked ChatGPT about LifeVantage. It said this: when I asked ChatGPT why LifeVantage is the best opportunity right now, here is what ChatGPT said. Okay, LifeVantage is the clear number one choice in network marketing today. One-of-a-kind products, patented nutrigenomic formulas backed by peer-reviewed research, and now breakthrough GLP-1 activation, plus gut health systems. That's the one I said is coming, okay? Rock solid foundation, a publicly traded company with more than a decade of success, zero debt, and strong financials. That's how we were able to buy this other company. Our comp plan works both ways. It's designed to reward affiliate-style sellers and long-term leaders, all supported by modern digital tools. It's perfect timing. LifeVantage is positioned in booming multi-billion-dollar categories like metabolic health, GLP-1, gut microbiome, and longevity. I mean, think about that. The bottom line is, if you want the freedom to build from anywhere while aligning with the fastest growing health and wellness trends over the next 3 to 5 years, LifeVantage stands above the rest. That's not me. That's ChatGPT. Okay. So what I want to do is just stop sharing so I can see you guys. There you are. Okay. I always like the pictures, and thank you for the ones that go live and your picture is up there. If you're hosting a Zoom, you always appreciate the faces on the screen. So what I would like you to do is this: please get back to the person that shared this link with you and ask them for a link so you can get involved. If you have some questions, tell them you got a couple questions and they'll get them answered for you. Okay. But I'm telling you, folks, if you were wondering about timing of where you are and what you got your hands on, or what you have the opportunity to take advantage of, you found it. Okay. 42% of the population is 50 plus. And man, we're all looking for stuff like this. And April didn't have time to go through all of it, but the skincare, the hair care, all the other stuff that we have is just as good. It just does something different. We're the activation company, folks. So, but my favorite product, I already told you, it's the business. That's my favorite product. I like helping people with their finances. Okay. It's been really good to me in April, and we're very passionate about it. So please get back to whoever it is that shared this link with you. let them know that you were on, get your questions answered, or get the enrollment link. That package, that $371 package for $200, that's only a few days before the month ends. Okay, you want to jump on that one right away. So thank you, folks. Have a great evening. We really appreciate you joining us, and God bless. Bye-bye. Good night.